What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Flyover Sports podcast. I am your host, Christophe Tenpenny. Looking forward to bringing you another great podcast, and I am joined by my co-host, Drew Clifton. Drew, what's up, my man?
This is the funeral for the Royals' interest this season. Not for you, obviously, but I have to say my interest and passion for the Royals is an all-time low for the season. I have to tell you.
Yeah, dude, I don't blame you one bit. I'm surprised you made it this long. It's been a very rough season, and of course, the interest level, it also helps to go down when we are less than a week away from Chiefs training camp from starting up. So, I mean, that's where our focus will end up going a little bit, but, we'll still have to kind of talk about how the Royals are doing, and, I'm going to at least be following every game. I've already been watching them a lot less on a regular basis, but I still follow or listen to the radio or whatever anytime I get the opportunity to.
Right. You're just not going out of your way to watch, a day game during the week.
Right.
That they're going to get spanked in, but I'm looking at the record here. They won the last two games.
Yeah, exactly. They went into Milwaukee and beat the first place Brewers in a 2-game series.
Baseball.
Brewers have like a 7-game lead in the NL Central, and the Royals went 4-0 against them this year.
They're just if the best team in the league against the Brewers. You got to find positives where you can find them. The best team in April, we can get that World Series trophy going, and the best team against the Brewers.
Yeah, see, it's the little things, and the reason the starting pitching, which has been the number one issue all year, was good in Milwaukee, and so that's why they won, because Mike Minor went 6 innings of 1-run ball. Then Brad Keller went into the 7th inning, so 6 2/3, I think, and gave up only 3 runs all in 1 inning. So he only had one bad inning, and it wasn't even that bad. So it's
what an ace!
Hey, he's an every month kind of guy. Every month kind of pitcher.
Best starter on the Royals. He pitches every month, at least once.
No, I'm just saying, like, in April and June, he has like a combined ERA like 8.5, but in May and July, he has like an ERA under 3.
Right. Overall, he throws strikes. He has a uniform on. He has a number. He gets paid.
Oh man. Dude, you hate Brad Keller, man.
I don't like any of the pitchers on the Royals, man. I'm even over Brady Singer.
Yeah, he was so bad the other night. Oh my gosh, it broke my heart. He gave up like 8 runs to the Orioles in 2 innings.
Yeah, so it's not a Brad Keller thing. I mean, it definitely highlights him because he's like supposed to be the number one starter. So he gets a lot of there, but really the prospects aren't exciting. Maybe Manzasetti. I definitely said that wrong. I know it's the first round pick. The high schooler.
The high school kid that won't be around for 5-6 years.
Right. He's just going to be. Well, you know what? That's where the beat reporters are going, right? They're going to the AAA games at the moment because of Witt and Prado.
Yeah. That's the number one storyline in Kansas City right now. Prado and Bobby Witt.
Right, yeah. I saw that tweet. Someone said, like, it really puts the season in perspective when the writers are going down to Omaha instead of going to the big league team.
Well, it almost made sense, though, because, like, if they're driving up north to Milwaukee, why not? And Bobby Witt and Prado are making their debut in Omaha, like.
Yeah.
Why not stop there? Because I think they were only there the first day, and then they were in Milwaukee for yesterday's game. But
we'll spread our reach. We'll be an Omaha Royals and Kansas City Chiefs podcast.
Dude, you have to. And what's crazy is that Witt is all like, he's just incredible, dude. Did you see his inside the park home run yesterday?
Yeah, it was electric. Head first slide.
Right.
Took a seat for a second. It was great.
Right. He ran it in under 15 seconds, which is elite around the bases. Like,
they have the marker like they used to have with Lorenzo Cain to see what his highest speed was? Did they have that
I don't think
capability in Omaha? No,
I don't think so.
they didn't
I
have the
didn't see
clock
it.
out there.
They had a clock, but they didn't have the little where they
Well,
do all the
yeah,
different
right.
angles and stop and be like, from this point to
Lorenzo
this
Kane got up
point,
to
he
22
reached 20.
miles per
Yeah,
hour.
exactly. They don't have that at AAA, but it is crazy how the Royals can beat a first place team twice, and still the number one storyline is what Nick Prado and specifically Bobby Witt Jr. are doing in Omaha. These
Yeah,
kids need to get up by the end of the year.
for sure. Like soon, I will watch. That'll bring people back to caring. That's what this season should immediately become about. Is like just give them some time and like maybe that just like build some hope for the future. Because if you watch the everyday team, the major league team, there's not a lot of hope.
Nope. And again, it all comes down to starting pitching. And of course, Duffy is on the IL and Singer was put on the IL.
So what do you think about Danny? I've seen like he's starting to lose some of the Royals fans, Royals writers, in terms of his respect level, or I guess just admiration from the fan base, because this seems to be what like a consistent thing that as soon as the trade date comes up, deadline comes up, he's going on the DL. He's not going to build up uh his little his respect at all.
yeah, it's trade stock. Um,
Trade stock that, yeah.
I Duffy's always battled injuries. And so I just think it's more of a coincidence. And let's be completely honest, they weren't going to get a ton for him anyway. He's always, even if he was completely healthy from whatever last came up to now, he's a guy that has had injury issues. He's a guy that you only get 2 months of, and it's not like he's going to come in and be your ace or even your number two starter. He's
Yeah.
going to be a number three, number four, or even a long relief bullpen guy for depending on what team wants him. So like you weren't going to get like a stud prospect, So I don't know. I'm not. It doesn't bug me as much.
But he was certainly this season performing when he was performing better than he had in the last couple seasons, right?
Right. He looked closer to 2016 Duffy, the Duffy that
Sure.
was, getting at least brought up in dark horse Cy Young conversations, which
Right.
in Kansas City, starting pitchers even being mentioned with that is big news. So, dude, the starting pitching history in Kansas City is ridiculously
Right.
bad. You know how many pitchers have been drafted or signed by Kansas City have developed into decent starting pitchers?
Is it 0?
I think it's 4 since 2002.
Okay. So
Is
what?
that
It's
Greinke?
Is it Greinke? Yeah.
Greinke was
I should have
drafted in
thought
2002.
Greinke.
I'd throw Duffy on that list. He's had a long career. He's had some really good seasons. I mean, that's a success in my book.
That is a far-ranging idea of success, right? You got Danny Duffy and Zach Greinke.
Well, yeah, but I
I
mean,
get it, but
Duff's
like
made
just to
over two.
show what you're doing to get somebody into like a successful like Greinke is far and far.
Well,
Is he the best for sure?
oh, not even close. I mean,
Right.
Greinke's one of the best starting pitchers any team's drafted in the last and during that time frame. Like,
Right.
if you put success since 2002 starting pitchers, Greinke would be a top 5 behind like
Right.
Verlander, Scherzer, Kershaw, and probably somebody else I'm forgetting. Oh, DeGrom. But like, so I mean that's just not an unfair. I think success. I mean Duffy's in his 11th year. He's made over 200 starts. Like he's won a World Series. I mean I think that's a fair line for success.
Yeah.
Yordano Ventura,
Right.
whose obviously career was cut very short, only played 4 years, but I mean dude was an electric stud when he was on the mound. I think he gets thrown in that group. And then Sean Manaea, who actually was traded for Ben Zobrist back in 2015, he's thrown a no hitter. I think the A's get more credit for developing him than the Royals, but he was drafted by Kansas City and has had a pretty good career over 6 years so far. So and that's about it. Like
Right.
Jacob Junis is not. I mean, I feel like guys that like success can be thought of as so many different ways. But I think, guys that are, once you make it to the show and you've had a few years, I mean, you could that's a success as far as like major league pitching goes, but like is it a success in the grand scheme of like ranking it to another MLB pitcher? You know what I'm trying to say there?
Yeah, for sure. And only
Like,
two of them have played for the Royals their career.
yeah, there are three of them, but Greinke has been everywhere.
Yeah.
Greinke's a Royal, as far as I'm concerned. That's where he's.
You
played
think he feels that way?
Oh, I know. I don't think
Right.
he feels that
Because
way.
he won a World Series with the Astros, right?
No, he hasn't won a World Series.
He hasn't won a World Series? Oh, he's
Nope.
been in the World Series a handful of times now and just has not
Yep.
come on the right side? Okay. Well, then there you go. So maybe he does. I wonder who he feels like. Do you think he's a Hall of Famer?
Yeah.
So you go, like, it's the MLB that you go into the Hall of Fame as a team,
you can go in with no cap, with no logo on the cap.
So we'll see what he decides there.
Yeah, he's got. I mean, 7 years in Kansas City is the longest. He's spent 4 years in Arizona and 3 years with the Dodgers. Now he's actually in his third year with Houston. Won his Cy Young with Kansas City, but probably had maybe his best season with the Dodgers. He came second in the Cy Young. That and his 2009 season are really close, but his actually, as I'm pulling it up, he had a 1.66 ERA in 2015 with the Dodgers. That's and he only finished second in the Cy Young. So like Greinke's that guy. Like I maybe shouldn't have led with him because saying success with Greinke and then saying any other name after was just going to sound disappointing. But it's just really the whole point is that the Royals suck at developing pitching.
Right.
Like never been good at it.
They're getting they have more opportunities now, but like doesn't give you hope for the future, right? It's not. That's probably why like this draft was extremely unexciting for the fan base, and it had got such bad grades on all of the polls that were put out there on Twitter. Even it could be amazing. Who knows? It's the MLB draft, but like just because of the state of the production from the starters that we've drafted in the past doesn't give you hope.
No, not at all. And it's just, what's funny is I feel like the MLB.com and MLB Network and those guys like the Royals draft a lot more than the fans did.
Yeah.
So I like, and again, that's just what the MLB draft is. No, who would have thought that back in like 2009 or 2010 or whatever year it was when the Angels drafted Randall Grichuk 20th and Mike Trout 21st, that would become the Mike Trout draft. Like,
yeah, like
you just don't know. Gerard Dyson was taken in the 50th round. That doesn't even exist anymore, and has had a decent, a major league career that I think a lot of people would take. So it's just,
I think so for sure, right?
Yeah,
you get paid pretty good money to not play every day,
right? Be a world champion, be a fan favorite, like,
right.
So it's just, you just don't know. The baseball is ridiculous on that aspect. And it's almost frustrating, too, because I like to sit here and talk about it, and get excited and be able to actually tell you that the draft and these guys mean something. But it doesn't mean jack. It doesn't mean the first prospect in a long time taken, in the first round that has actually been exciting all the way through. I mean, Brady Singer was that a little bit, but I think the COVID stuff kind of ruined that hype a little bit. But Bobby Witt Jr. is by far like Hunter Dozier didn't Sean Manaea, Kyle Zimmer was always hurt. Even Moose and Haas to an extent didn't. I don't remember them getting this kind of hype for as early, as Bobby Witt Jr. is getting.
I mean, so Alex Gordon, right?
Yeah. You have to probably go back to 2005 when Alex Gordon. Or 2004 when Alex.
He was on the cover of a video game. On the cover of that college baseball.
Baseball, yeah, because he's a stud, dude.
Yeah.
Absolute stud. It's Alex Gordon Day, too, Saturday at the K. I don't think I'll be able to go, man. I'm freaking bummed. He's thrown out the first pitch. They're giving out a bobblehead with his glove on his head like he always did with 8 gold gloves or 7 gold gloves or whatever it is stacked next to it. It's a sick bobblehead. And I really, really want it, but I just don't think I'll have the time to go out and get it this Saturday.
Wow, that's too bad.
I know, right?
What an awesome season. The biggest draw to the K is Alex Gordon night for a sick bobblehead to watch the team probably lose.
Dude, they're playing the Tigers, and dude, the Tigers it's just associated as being bad. They're like 30-23 over their last 53 games, and they're only like 5 games under 500. They're like a good baseball team for most of the year.
They're like what we thought the Royals were going to be.
Exactly.
Right? At the very beginning of the season, that's what we talked about. We're hoping to have this Detroit Tiger season when what Detroit was supposed to be, what we're doing right now.
Right. We're like, Detroit has no shot of making the playoffs, but all those fans who have suffered just as long as Kansas City pretty much has of being bad and developing, but they have something to root for every day. They're getting to see a winning product, a lot more frequently, and they're seeing development. It's like,
and a couple of their exciting prospects are actually in the majors.
Right. They've got there's a couple of their Brady Singer version. They drafted Casey Mize, who actually was the #1 overall pick that same draft class. He's been killing it, dude. He's an absolute stud, and it's like, man, why can't the Royals catch a break? And it comes down to, I don't think talent is really the issue. No. It feels like coaching.
It does.
The issue.
You've been on that. Like you got on it early. I was shocked when we had that first bad week or 2 weeks span, and you were chopping heads, and it hasn't happened yet. But that is the consistent problem.
Right. It just feels like the coaching has just been abysmal, and everyone likes to blame Cal Eldred because he's the big league pitching coach, and I think he'd be the first person I fired. But it's not just him. It's you don't have this kind of struggles from one coach. There
just seems to be an overall. It's not morale, or maybe just non-excitement. And you can tell it in our voices. I'm sure it's there in the clubhouse. There just doesn't seem to be that drive to improve, or there's anywhere to build. Right, we've had those exciting moments. There should be kind of a rally behind Salvi, and Salvi gives us the only highlights of the entire season going into his All-Star weekend. And there's just as you've said, they come out and they lay a brick the next day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very frustrating. And what's even worse is I think they're scared to fire people because the thing will send them back even worse, because that's what happens, if you fire everybody and you got to bring new people in, there is an adjustment period. I don't care how much better the people you bring in is. If you fire Dayton, then everybody else's job becomes on the hot seat because whoever you hire to replace him is going to want to do his own thing, and it's just
also if you fire your GM after just letting him do a significant draft,
right.
That's never a good idea. Right. I think that was there's an NBA comparison to that a handful of times where it's just they'll fire their GM right after they draft in the top 5, and everybody's like, what the hell is going on over there? You are transitioning in the worst possible period where this GM gets to make no significant decisions until the following year, so they have to go an entire year with somebody else's player, and so that just breeds resentment from that GM and that front office to those players, and those players are either playing for their careers and anything like that. Right. So not a great place to put your front office. So it'd be weird if the first guy they fired was Dayton Moore. Yeah. But also if you fire your pitching coach, you would think that your pitching just doesn't immediately get better, right? It goes into a dip. And if this team's starting pitching takes another dip, they'll be the worst team of all time for that couple weeks.
Oh, man. They've already been twice this season the worst team in the league. During a stretch.
Yeah, they like to lose a lot in a row, to really just completely embitter the fan base and take the wind out of the season.
Yeah. And it's people when they run against, because they have the 5th worst record and they're really not that far behind, being able to get a top 2-3 pick. And so I see things where, and we already talked about it, where people are like, oh, of course, Royals winning games to ruin their draft pick. It doesn't matter. A top 10 pick in baseball, they're going to have a top 10 pick. It doesn't matter if it's 10th or 2nd. The chances are just as good of getting a bust as it is of getting a future star.
And
So like,
also, like, do they have
I'd rather,
money to pay
yeah,
a
exactly,
number one pick, as well as
exactly,
like, does that number one pick want to come to Kansas City?
right. So like, I would much rather them at least see them try to put a few wins, not go on these long losing streaks, and that that'll at least take care of the somewhat entertainment level. Maybe, I don't know. Hunter Dozier's starting to hit the ball well, so
Shockingly.
yeah, he's hitting like 400 over his last like 6 games or something like that. His batting average still isn't over
He already
200
had
yet, though.
4 of the 6 hit, but got hits all 4 times he hit was at the plate, and he was 4 out of 6 hits for the entire team.
Yeah. Against the on Sunday against the Orioles when they
Right.
lost, like he's been on, and I mean that's where the state of this team is that they signed Zober or not. I was looking at the list here. They signed Dozier to a 4-year contract extension. So like it or not, if this team's ever going to turn a corner, he's going to be part of it because he's signed on this team. So we have to watch to see. Hey, I'd rather see him. Even if he's still only hitting a $191, I'd rather see positive stuff from him now than have to hope on it at the end. Start next year. Yeah, so. Royals are just a mess. Bobby Jr. needs to get called up in the next month.
Day.
Give him the last. Give him. He's got to spend a little time in AAA. Right. Give him the last 4 to 5 weeks of the MLB season to see what he can do. Get some butts in the seats while the Chiefs are doing their thing. That's the reason. Once football is here, the interest. You think the interest level is low now. Once
right.
the Chiefs have a preseason game, people are going to be like, the Royals are still playing games, unless they call it Bobby Wood Jr. So
certainly, and then still people will be like, "Well, is Bobby Wood playing today? If not, I'm not. I'm going to the Chiefs training camp. Like, I'm driving up to Dodge.
Right.
I'm doing that.
I'm gonna watch, all of the sports networks to wait for them to debate on Patrick Mahomes, like instead of watching the Royals.
Right? Yeah. Who has the best arm in the NFL? And it's like Tom Brady.
Right. That's what those shows do.
Right.
Before we get to the Chiefs stuff, though, we do have to acknowledge the season that just came to an end in a very exciting fashion. The Milwaukee Bucks are NBA champions. Like, dude,
thank God, man. Oh, I can't tell you how amazing that experience was. The Game 6. You'll never see anything like it again. In terms of like the way that Giannis dominated. To go 17 for 19 for 50 from the free throw line and get 50 points, 5 blocks, I had a ton of rebounds, and just dominate the game while the other two guys just didn't have it. Middleton and Holiday, like Middleton hit probably the biggest jump shot of the game, but and Holiday locked up, of course. But offensively, they were pretty lackluster, and it just didn't matter.
Right.
Ayton had nothing for Giannis in the second half, and really kind of put DeAndre Ayton in his place, stop that rising stock that was DeAndre Ayton. And like I called him the 3rd best center in the league. That still might be true, but it definitely put him back in his place a little bit. Really tough look for Chris Paul. Extremely tough. I mean, he actually played decently in Game 6, and Booker took a back seat and played terrible, missed all 7 threes. But I got to tell you, man, I don't usually watch the whole end of it, finals MVP, like all of the extra stuff that goes on in the end. But this was the first year in a while, probably like a long while, that I was really excited to see all of the theatrics that come after.
Yeah, it was like the first time since like Golden State's first championship, right?
Sure, yeah.
Like you felt really good about who was winning and the players that were winning, and like
it was extremely genuine. That's the word I would use for it. Giannis was full of emotion, and it was genuine emotion. He wasn't looking for his beer commercial, Nike commercial moment like you expect with Durant, with especially LeBron. Man, the juxtaposition between this and any LeBron title, it just felt clean and like worthy. Not that LeBron James isn't worthy of this title, but like just everybody was excited for him. Suns fans have to even be excited for what they saw. And it was just a really good moment for the NBA. For as injury ridden that playoffs was, the end of it was spectacular.
Yeah, it's cool. For them to win 4 in a row like that too, and just
right.
Oh man, it was.
And for him to come back from the injury that he had, where you really thought that ACL was gone, or something significant was wrong, and he had the game 1 and a little bit of game 2. He played spectacular. He had 40 points in game 2, but there was obviously just a little bit, and he just rebounded. Man, he's a freak of nature. He has the nickname is perfect, and everybody saying it's like a non-super team title. That's like fairly true. I mean, they did trade 5 first-round picks for Drew Holiday in a huge trade, and those are 3. Their top 3 players take up like 75% of their cap.
Right.
So it's not, but it's just the type of player, right? They weren't superstars. Chris Middleton's certainly not a superstar. Drew Holiday certainly not a superstar. They both have flaws in their games. But obviously Middleton and Giannis have played together for 8 years, and they've really come up together. So there's just nothing to complain about at all. I'm sure LeBron will find a way and to get upset about it. I don't know. Did you watch Space Jam?
I haven't gotten to Space Jam yet. No, I haven't.
It's brutal.
Well, I mean, it's tailored for kids, dude. Have you ever?
I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. I'm sorry. I don't care about that.
I've watched it. Watched the first Space Jam.
Yeah, first one's like. Here's the thing, and this is a little bit of a spin-off here, but the first Space Jam
from talking about the Giannis to LeBron and Space Jam.
Yeah, but like I watched it. It's 2 hours long. Mm-hmm. It's 2 hours long. The first one's 86 minutes, man. So that was the biggest thing, as well as like the reason that the first Space Jam was interesting was because it was unique and it was like weird, in the sense of like Michael Jordan with the Looney Tunes. That's just like a very interesting concept that was done pretty well. It's not great, obviously. Like it's not a classic like some people would call it. It's not good. Michael Jordan is terrible in it. But it was something new, and it really caught the nation, as well as they had incredible like side characters like Bill Murray, Wayne Knight, and like that kind of thing. Like those not cameos, but like supporting roles are not in this new Space Jam. Like you don't have those type of characters. Like Michael B. Jordan comes out, and that's like a fun little moment because they're like, we have a Michael Jordan and it's Michael B. Jordan, which is decently fun. Don Cheadle's pretty good in it as the villain. But it's way too long, and it's a freaking commercial, man. And that's it's so blatantly product placement and like Warner Brothers commercial that it's kind of hard to watch. And LeBron gets better in it throughout, but no. But that's what's been like, and that's what frustrates me about the NBA is that like he launched that, like, I don't know, the season probably wasn't supposed to be going on when that movie actually came out. Right. But that's the comparison that like Giannis isn't like that, man. He's purely basketball, and he has that kind of, has more Jordan in him than LeBron does in terms of personality wise. And that's what I thought was special about this title. And it just felt, as I said before, it felt clean, felt like deserved and not like forced, not like, for lack of a term, rigged. But it's over. It's football.
It is football season for sure, and that's let's be real. That's been pretty much the talk of Kansas City since May.
Sure.
Is the Kansas City Chiefs, and why not?
Not even playing football, playing golf. That was the talk of Kansas City.
Playing golf and draft, and Mahomes' surgery, and him becoming a dad, and Kelsey's name, and Chiefs just anything that could give us Kansas City Chiefs content has been what
Uzis in the whip.
Gosh dang. But now we're a week away from training camp. Less than. We're all starting in on July 28th up in St. Joe. And man, it's just you just get that feeling a little bit. The guys are going to be back. It's going to be you're going to see what's going on. The talk shows have already started with who has the best arm strength, who's the best tight end, who's this and that. It's
Zach
football
Wilson.
season, man. It's football season. I'm just pumped. I'm here for it.
For sure, especially in Kansas City. I don't know. Every year the highlight reels of Mahomes' career goes out, and I just, I'm it's like crack. I'm in, and I'll just watch like all of his MVP highlight season, all those throws, and man, just makes Jones for some football.
Yeah, for sure. One of the things that was circulating around was, when was the moment that you knew that Mahomes was different? Do you have a moment? Does a play stick out for you?
For sure. And it was in his first or second preseason game when he had that whip to Demarcus Robinson for a touchdown. Oh, I bought my Mahomes jersey that night, man. And it's become a jersey that, like the numbers are falling off and everything like that. It's everybody has a Mahomes jersey, Chris, at this point, but mine's older. So that's when I knew. I was like, this is different. It's like nothing I've ever seen in Kansas City. And that really, like, that game really reinvented myself as a Chiefs and football fan, and like headed me towards the path of like being on this podcast.
No, that's awesome. See, that's weird for me because like I always had high expectations. Like when he was drafted,
sure,
the first day, like. But the moment I knew that this was like, oh, this isn't just like a great quarterback, this is an all-time quarterback.
Yeah.
For me, that moment was the 49ers game, week 3, his first start at Arrowhead, where
is that when he goes left, turns back,
circles back around,
right,
and throws a rifle to Chris Conley past Richard Sherman in the back.
I love that. I saw a tweet. It was like, I knew when Chris Conley was scoring touchdowns in a Chiefs offense that Mahomes was special.
Yeah, that was the moment for me to where, because he'd already had the 4 touchdowns against the Chargers, the 6 against the Steelers, the start against, like, he'd already done all that, and like you knew this guy was going to be
10 touchdowns in your first 2 games. That's right. Oh my gosh!
But that play was the one where I was like, "Oh, this dude's all time. Like this dude's already."
God, that window was so small. The funniest thing is, like, I feel like that was one of the first moments for NFL defenders to be like, "This is different." Because if you look at the play, like, there's not a whole there wasn't an expectation that ball was about to go through that window.
Right. And like the announcers were just like, "Are you kidding?" Like, doesn't even know what to say about the kid anymore. It's like, you don't see that.
That season is just football porn, man. Are you saying it's because that, and the announcers put it perfectly like this. Every single touchdown was like, "This is different. What is it?" And like the fact that it's always weird to he wasn't a rookie, right? Certainly he wasn't a rookie, but it was his first time as a starter, and he came out and was so electric and so charismatic too. Just his not even his personality, it's his style is charismatic. It's not hateable. I mean, it's hateable because you're like, I can't believe you even tried that. Where people start to hate them is where they do the clap, do the circle, like everybody spins over and it doesn't work, or if he tries to catch a touchdown and it doesn't work, like those, or they throw an interception at the 1 yard line or something like that and they get cute. That's when people start to hate on him. But other than that, there's just nothing to hate about it. Even this could be a Raiders podcast, there it would be hard to say anything about it.
Yeah, the main reasons people hate on Mahomes is success, which is main reason people hate like Manning and Brady and those, and also obnoxious Chiefs fans.
Sure,
those are the top 2 reasons why people hate Mahomes. Not really anything he's doing, but just
And Brady is the same way.
Right.
And that's really shining out.
Brady at least has a few cheating scandals you can, or
I guess
you can at least get behind. But
but that is reaching too.
Right.
I would say, right? That would be more hate Belichick than hate Brady.
Right. Even Deflategate, come on.
Oh, certainly Deflategate. I mean,
does that even matter?
It doesn't, right? No, he's so good. He's winning it. He just won a title with the Buccaneers, man.
Yeah.
First year, that's what's really shining out for me on Brady is that separate him from the Patriots, and he's a way more likable guy, and he's super self-deprecating, which is great. The fact that he'll go and suck at golf on national television. That is pretty. I don't watch it because who wants to watch someone who's bad at golf? But especially because it's golf. Sorry, Chris's dad, but yeah. I mean, just to have the balls to do that, be like, I'm the best at something. I am not the best at this, and I'm gonna do it with professionals, some of the best in the game, and I don't care.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, I don't know. He's just. Do you think he played all of last year with a torn? What was it? What was
Was
it?
it all year?
That's
Is
what
that
they
what they
say.
said? Wow.
Yeah. You
No,
think
it's
that's true?
impressive.
Do you think
Sure.
it's true?
I think it can be true. Sure. What does he need his MCL for? You
Yeah,
know?
I know. It's like it really puts into perspective how little he actually has to move. If like it wasn't even a
Yeah.
question, because it was different. But like if Mahomes did that, or Aaron Rodgers, or even guys
Yeah.
that don't move
No,
a ton, like
there's
Kirk
no way you
Cousins,
can.
you would notice it. But Tom Brady, it's like you didn't even notice it because that's just how he looks.
I mean, the comparison has to go out to Philip Rivers playing that playoff game with no ACL,
Right,
right?
right.
And like he was not like great, but like he wasn't awful, and that's because they play similarly. Obviously, Brady is far and away better. There's not even. I mean,
Right, but
we don't even have
they're
to say that. But
how they move.
yeah, they play similar, so it makes sense to me that's possible, and it is impressive. And as much as it probably was just like hell, it was probably it leaked because I think it was pretty obvious that Schefter knew about it
Right.
and was. I think that, and I've heard this, that they were probably going to hold it till when Brady was not had a bad game or something like that, because he'll have at least one during the season, and it'll be like, yeah, he played his whole last season on an MCL tear. Just add to the legend.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, we'll stop talking about Tom Brady. We are two very few Chiefs fans who actually kind of like him, and so
because we're football fans.
We're probably pissing a lot of people off. Let's get to the Chiefs. Let's get to training camp. Let's get to what the people want to hear. So I just want to throw a few questions out just to see, just to kind of get talking about the roster and whatnot. What position battle that we're going to start seeing in camp are you most looking forward to?
Center.
Okay.
I want to see. I think Creed Humphrey's a star. That's what I love him as a person. I like his I've been watching his tape, which is hilarious. Or not his tape. That's like that makes me sound way more official than I am. I'm watching his highlights and everything like that. I just like his style. I like when superstar quarterbacks have like a center for most of their career. Like with I forget his name, but the Colts guy
Saturday.
with Saturday, yeah, just Saturday with Peyton Manning. And I think he's got like a sick personality. So I want to see him win out.
You want to see him go out over Blythe?
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's definitely got a shot considering they drafted him in the second round, and he was honestly, I feel like he was a more popular pick than Bolton, the first guy they took in that second round. And yeah, he's a big boy, dude. He's like like 6'5", like 320. For a center,
smart.
That's big. Yeah, and he's smart. Went to OU, played against
he looked
those
great
SEC
in that uniform,
teams.
man. It's a darker red, but he's coming to the faster red, so it'll look even better.
Right. Man, I don't know how interested people are in two offensive line battles, but that's where I'm at too, man. Like, I just feel like a lot of the positions are pretty locked up. I mean, I could say like who's gonna be the second wide receiver behind, but like, does it really matter if it's Hardman or Robinson?
No, that's I'm not as excited about the position.
Right. So that's where I'm going to. I'm going with right guard, actually, just because the Kyle Long injury, and I think that like I'm throwing Humphreys into that, because if they decide they sign the older Blythe to be the center for at least this year, Austin Blythe, then there's a right guard position to worry. We don't know how LDT is going to respond after a year off. Kyle Long, I don't know a time level on his return yet. Nick Allegretti looked good in times there last year. Humphreys, Andrew Wiley, hell, even what's the tackle's name?
Are you talking about the Tennessee guy?
Yeah. Smith or gosh dang it. That's embarrassing. Trey Smith.
Yeah, he's getting hype.
Right. It's like there's so many position players that you could like. You already have Orlando Brown as the LT. You already have Tooney as the LG, and then you probably have Rimmers as the right tackle or Niang. I mean, that's a toss up, but like you could put so many different guys in that right guard position that. I mean, you could probably throw Blythe in there. I think if you decide Blythe's a starter, you're going to put him at center.
Yeah, and
But
hey,
like,
if Trey
but like,
Smith is a real deal, he might be at that right tackle position.
true. But like, it's really there's just a lot of guys, and it's hard to tell, during training camp sometimes,
Yeah,
because it's not super physical for these offensive linemen, but you can definitely it's definitely going to be the talk of who's winning those couple spots that are a little bit up in the air, and not like up in the air like whoever's going to start is going to be a problem, like up in the air, like we've got some depth there, like the
sure,
guys are going to
certainly.
have to earn it. And so that's what I'm excited about, is to
And
watch
hey,
those
Chiefs
big
fans, we
guys
lost
play.
the Super Bowl because our offensive line was completely depleted and injured, and maybe not even up to stuff like completely fully healthy. I mean, they went out against a superb front seven, as you talked about the entirety of last
All
year.
year, all year.
Um, and so that's like what all Chiefs fans should be looking at this year. Um, I mean, because that's something to be excited about. If you want to look at the defensive line and get a little nervous, that's when that's the area you would look at and be like, oh, I don't know. I hope somebody shows out like spectacularly on that side of the ball. But on the
Right.
offensive line, there's a lot to look forward to. There's a lot of potential, and that's what we focused on in the offseason.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it may be a little rough early just because, you add essentially 5 new guys playing together. But
Yeah.
once they get it, man, it's definitely already appears to be a strength of this team. Um, so, so you kind of just went into, I was going to ask, what position group are you the most worried about? Do you feel it's the defensive line, or are you going somewhere else?
It's either defensive line or cornerback, right?
Corner. Yeah.
Which is as we discussed in the last episode, not good for your defense. That the two most important position groups are the weakest, certainly.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I think it's an easy answer, especially if Frank Clark isn't around. And Melvin Ingram went to Pittsburgh for pretty little money, right?
Cheap.
$4 million 1 year.
Yeah, I don't even think he got that much.
Really?
Jeez. Yeah.
I mean, and yeah. That's too bad. I have to say, I was kind of disappointed with that. Maybe they have somebody else in mind. Maybe they are looking at Justin Houston. Justin Houston's going to go somewhere, you would think.
Right. Yeah, I know. I kind of, as we talked about last week, I want him back. I think if he wants to be
I'm
back,
fully on that band with you. I want him back regardless. If he's back and Frank Clark's back, I'm excited for that position group battle. I want Justin Houston to take back his position in the Chiefs defense and let Frank Clark squander a little bit, even though we're paying him a lot of money. But I'm okay with that.
Right. And you were right. Actually, it was $4 million for Ingram in Pittsburgh. The thing about the defensive line, it's not actually the whole defensive line. I actually like the D tackle position a lot.
Sure. Yeah.
The depth there with Jones, Noddy, Reed, even Saunders, and Tershawn Wharton. Like, you got some bodies there that can play. But again, that defensive end group, especially if you take out Frank Clark, it's like, can Taco Charlton continue, can bounce back from his injury after he showed flashes? Can Mike Dana, who's a 5th round pick, he showed bursts. And then it's like Austin Edwards is on this team. I don't know who. Damone Harris, he's been around for, I think, a year or two and has had a little bit. Like, he's just a bunch of no-name guys that you don't know anything about. They did sign Okafor back to add some depth. So that's at least another body that has been decently productive. But, like, I still, after saying all that, I still think corner's the biggest concern. I really do. It's like, like, I'm not including safety because I feel, obviously you feel good about Thornhill, Matthew, and even Sorensen as your third guy. But, like, your best commodity currently is a 4th round draft pick who's in his 2nd year, and L'Jarius Sneed, who's only played like 10 games. Like, that's scary to me. I mean, I know we've seen what what Charvarius Ward can do, but he was bad last year. I mean, I think a
Yes.
lot of that had to do with the club on his hand for most of the year. Rashad Fenton is kind of a fun player. I love how physical he is, but is he really like a guy you want to be out there on every down? DeAndre Baker had a terrible injury. I know he's a former first round pick that we got for cheap, but like, is he going to be even relevant for this year? Like, it's just the depth is so scary and so scarce that like you're going to see Daniel Sorensen on the field a lot just because Tyron's going to have to come up and play corner more times than safety because of the lack of depth on this team. And that's a little scary to me.
And we don't have any capital to get Xavier Howard, who would be like the best option. And there's no way we could pay him. Because he's going to want the most money of any corner, right? And he's and he's upset right now. He's like the 6th highest paid cornerback in the league, but because there's a guy across the field from him making more money than him, he wants out, and they're going to trade him. That's what everybody's saying. But they're going to want a 1st-round pick. We don't have that to give, and there's no way you could keep Matthew if you got Xavier Howard. That's for sure. If you were able to pull that out, there's no way you'd have to pick Xavier Howard.
So basically, put your MVP votes on Mahomes early.
Yeah,
defense is a little scary. It's better than 2018, I still think.
Oh, but I mean, look at the showrunner. You know, that's the big problem with Spags versus.
That alone will make up, even if it's a similar talent.
That was the obvious problem with that team. What was the previous defense coordinator's name? You remember? He was just stuck in the past, and that was pretty obvious.
Bob Sutton.
Yeah. And so it's not going to be as bad as that. But
no, not at all. No. But I'm just saying, like they're going to have to score a few more points than they have in the past.
Hopefully they do. That's good. That's the type of Chiefs football I want to watch. It's the type of Andy Reid football I want to watch. And I said this before, put your foot on the neck, man. Just kill him. Kill him.
Yeah, did you see there was a tweet surfacing around about how the Chiefs won so many one-score games, and like teams that have won that many in the past typically suffer the next year.
Sure. But there's not a comparison for the Chiefs, I don't think.
Well, that was the thing, though, that like include every team that had a 6 or 7 one-score wins. And then it had the results of the next year. And for the most part, it was like didn't make the playoffs. But you know what teams did make the playoffs the next year? The team led by Tom Brady, the team led by Peyton Manning, the team led by Russell Wilson. Like, it was such a nitpicky stat because all of the teams with good quarterbacks made the playoffs.
Teams.
Made the playoffs the next year. And Peyton Manning and Tom Brady's since they went to the Super Bowl. So it's like that was such a terrible stat that got a lot of traction. I was actually super surprised just because it's like,
well, that was the most frustrating part. And you have not been as in favor of this being as frustrating, but watching them win so many close games last year because it felt like they were such a better team than that.
Made the Super Bowl, so like,
right, exactly.
How they won.
Yeah, you don't care. But I do. I want to kill them.
Oh man, I get that, but we'll see how it goes. Last question here on the Chiefs stuff: is there a guy? It's pretty early, and some of these guys are lesser known, but is there a guy that hasn't gotten a lot of hype to even make the team that you think has a shot or want to see? At least get some traction for the final roster spot.
I don't think I'm like the best on this question. I would say
right, but there's no right answer. Like,
I think you go first. Let me think about it for a second.
Okay. Well, this guy's he's gotten attention in the last couple of years, but I think Jody Forston's a guy out of Valdosta State. He's a wide receiver. He's 6'6", 230. A lot of people thought he was going to make the team as a receiver last year and just got cut at the end. I think that really, though, why he would be kept is I think the talk is like working him at tight end a little bit. He doesn't have the weight, but he clearly has the size and athleticism. And it's like behind Travis Kelce and Noah Gray, I mean, you have Blake Bell and Nick Keiser. And Andy Reid does like to keep, for sure 3, if not 4 tight ends. And it's like,
give him Kaiser's spot, please.
Right, exactly. Like I'm fine with Blake Bell being the 2-3 he might be the 2 guy early, depending on how Noah Gray looks, just because he's back in the system he's familiar with. Even though he took a year off, Blake Bell's clearly got a leg up early on Gray. But even if Gray takes that 2 spot, I have no issue with Bell being the 3 guy. So that way you can have Jordy Forston as your big body receiver / fourth tight end if an injury happens kind of guy. Because again, he's 6'6". The Chiefs don't have receivers like that on this team.
No,
they don't have big guys like
well,
Marcus Robinson 6'1", Byron Pringle 6'1", Tyreek Hill. They say he's 5'10". He's probably 5'8".
Yeah.
Same with McCole Hardman, who say he's 5'10". He's probably 5. Like they don't have big body guys, so I think having one guy that's 6'6" on the roster would be huge.
Yeah, Powell's 6'3", right?
They have him listed at 6 foot.
No, they don't. Seriously? Oh my gosh!
Roster here.
What an incredible like draft stock yet, where he was like supposed to be this like bigger guy that they drafted that was like not a speed guy. That's funny. He's only 6 feet tall. I thought he was 6'3".
It's technically, according to this, he's the same weight and an inch shorter than Robinson and Pringle. So
right. And is Pringle definitely going to be on the team?
I don't know, man. If you ask most Chiefs fans, I think they'd say yes.
I would say yes. So if I was going to use him as my guy, like I think he'll.
Well, here's the thing. I think Marcus Kemp has a really good shot too because of how good he is as a special teams player, man. And they love that. They love that guy that can just play special teams. Now, I think Pringle has the fast track to do it. But like if you look at it, so you've got Tyreek, you've got D-Rob, you've got Hardman. Those 3 are locks.
Right.
Pringle's probably a lock. Cornell Powell's probably a lock. And so then if they keep 6, is it Marcus Kemp, Jordy Forston, Garrett Dieter still on this team?
I know, there's no way.
They brought in Antonio Callaway out of Florida. There's a bunch of guys that were like, yes, I feel like Byron Pringle and Powell are locks just because of one's a rookie that we drafted, and the other one's had time and is a local kid. But it's not like they're superstar. It's not like they're far and away better than the other 3 names I just said. And so I don't know. Receiver's going to be interesting. They'll probably go with the guys they feel comfortable with, which gives guys like Byron Pringle and Marcus Kemp an inside track over Dieter.
It's going to be a significantly sweep heavy offense. They're going to run that like into the ground.
So, but it'll just be fun to see. I just love seeing all these. There's always a guy that comes out of nowhere. Like there's this guy, Chris Finke, that's on the roster that I'm looking at right now out of Notre Dame. I know nothing about, but like there's always a guy like that just takes camp by storm and becomes everyone's favorite and is like on the second round of cuts. So I can't wait to find that guy who we get excited about.
All-star.
Right, who we get excited about for a week or two just for him to, if he does make the team, to be a completely non-factor.
Right.
So, but no, Chiefs training camp coming though, man. I'm freaking pumped. I'm going to try to make it up there a day or two. Hopefully you can buy your tickets like that. It'll have to be a weekday because I know those weekend tickets are already pretty much locked up. But just to see how the team looks. But we'll keep continuing building up the NFL talk. I think that's kind of where we hit our stride and a little more interesting. As we like to do, we like to end the episode with kind of a pop culture, just random TV talk or pop culture talk. And sometimes it's relevant to what's happening, and sometimes it's just things we like. And I think this week it is just things we like. We kind of wanted to get in a little Game of Thrones. Drew's been watching it through, and he kind of got re-hyped about it. So he kind of wanted to talk on
and so it's like it's not completely there is a significant reference to Game of Thrones in the new Space Jam. Which is what got me like thinking about watching it again.
Oh, gotcha. And they're making the new series, spin-offs or whatever that should be.
And they're making like a really expensive like Lord of the Rings show for Amazon Prime. That looks like it's going to be pretty good. And let me just tell you, like them whole medieval sword stuff, anything like that. Like there's a new movie coming out from Ridley Scott with Ben Affleck and Matt Damon. The first time that they're making a movie together since since like Good Will Hunting. So
Oh, yeah.
that kind of got me interested. And I was like, oh man, I really want to watch something like that. And really, besides the first Lord of the Rings trilogy, I would say the best content for that is Game of Thrones. At least the first like 7 to at least the first 6 seasons of that show will probably be some of the best content for that kind of stuff, because that's where my nerd stuff just goes as high as it can go. And like you, like, let's just say it, like, obviously the 8th season's a travesty. The ending of the show it did have a significant effect on the way that people look at the show overall. And that's how I felt about it. I thought I was never going to watch it again. I was so betrayed. I don't know. You said you picked it up late, right? Like
Yeah,
you,
like
so I like had heard about it, and I think it was definitely high school. And so I watched it week to week from the first episode of the show. And so I never got to like binge it or anything like that. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this. Maybe I won't even watch the final season. But as I'm going through it, it is just incredible. It's such a good show at the beginning. The performances are like nothing else, and it's well written. It's incredibly well shot. There's not a lot of complaints about it for the first, at least especially in the first handful of seasons. And it just made me think. And what I wanted to say is like, I put almost like 90% of the blame at this point on George R. Martin, man. Like the fact that nobody signed up to do that show thinking we are going to have to completely create the storyline like from nothing after like the first 6 or 7 seasons. Like, we're going to have to end this on our own. The guy that created it can't even come up, like, it's so writer's block that he can't even come up with an ending for it. Like, so we have to do it. That's why they went years and years between seasons. I think like 2 years was the longest, but so as I was going through it, like, that's what I feel like. Like, I don't blame the creators as much anymore. Like, they definitely didn't land the plane, but neither can George R. R. Martin. Like, and you signed up to do this TV show, and it got probably way more popular than you could have ever possibly imagined. But the fact that a new book never came out, they had nothing to go off of, is the obvious reason for the show's decline. Like, it's very good when they have a source material to go off of. And as soon as the source material on, the show just hits a nosedive. And that kind of changed my perspective on the show. And you got to shout out, Peter Dinklage, man, as Tyrion, like an all-time role. That's what I have picked up on from the first couple of seasons. And there's a bunch of people you could shout out, but that's always been who I've been drawn to throughout the show. I think it's a really interesting character, and his performance as Tyrion is top notch.
Yeah, see, I caught up right before season 7 dropped because my roommates were getting hyped for season 7, and I had never seen it, and so I binged the crap out of it and got to watch 7 and 8 live. And so, like, you really get I need to go back and watch it again, just because, like, you take in so much so fast. When even if you don't binge it super fast, like, you're just, the episodes kind of blur together at times. But I just remember, like, it's just completely different. And there's some things, like, I'm not into all of the extra stuff that they felt like they needed to do just because they were on HBO Max.
Oh yeah, sure, it's grotesque.
Right. And it's not even like the gore and stuff that bothers me. It's some of the other stuff, but like,
right,
doesn't add anything to the storyline. But like, regardless, other than that, like, the first 6, even 7 seasons are so incredible. They're so intriguing, and like, I completely agree with you. Like, I never thought of it like that, but when you brought up that if the writer can't even come up with an ending, why should we expect the guys that didn't sign up to have to write much? They signed up to tweak whatever was in the print and put it on screen. They didn't sign to come up with everything on their own. And I still don't know how you land on Bran being the winner at the end. Like, I still don't know how that's your decision.
It got so big, right? Remember, like, it was like football level almost
big.
in terms of attention, like, or consistent viewing, I would say, right? And what we
Right.
see, especially like if you look at Star Wars, if you look at like any of these big properties, Marvel, even that we've talked about, when you get to that level, you just open yourself up to the like mainstream virtue signal kind of area that you get into, right? So
Mm-hmm.
then like you have that's I feel like that's what leads to Arya killing the gosh, what is like the Night Prince or whatever his
The
name
Night
is.
King.
Night King, yeah. That's what like the little girl kills the Night King and the handicapped little boy ends up being the king.
Yeah, but I think
Right?
Arya developed to where that made sense. Like that was the
It just
thing.
doesn't
Like
make sense. Yeah, I mean,
I like
like yeah,
that.
I didn't like
She literally has an entire season where she's like practices being, for lack of a better word, a ninja.
sure, but
And
she's
so like her
practicing to be a ninja to kill specific people. She doesn't even know the Night King freaking exists, man. Like
she just
what
put the
the
team on her back though.
yeah, no. But the intriguing part of her character was her like the revenge and like and oh man, it's so much better if she jumped out of nowhere and just sliced up Cersei or something like that. People that like
Gotcha.
have wronged her and everything. That's where I thought that the character development was going to go for her, which I would have liked. But for her to be the one that just like in your favorite character like Jon Snow makes sense that maybe that's just too obvious, right? For him
Well, that
to
was what it seemed like the writers were trying to do. They were trying to not be obvious. Because it's,
which is
and
the
I feel
mistake that
like
they made.
Marvel tries to do that a little bit too, but it works for Marvel. Like they see and hear all the fan theories. They try to go around that a little bit, or even guide the fan theories. While with Game of Thrones, they hear all the theories and stuff that have been happening. They're like, oh, we can't do that. We can't have all these fans be right. We got to give them
Right.
something they've never
And that's the
seen.
problem. Like you can't listen to the outside
I
sources,
think they
and
did. I really
right, and
think they
that's the
did.
problem. And well, guess what? Like Marvel has infinite amount of source material
True.
to go off of, right?
Right.
Just like so many different like areas where there's like real published source material for them to go off of. That's also kind of where Star Wars got into a problem. Like they completely nixed all of that like extended universe stuff that the Star Wars had gotten before Disney bought it, right? Like all of the books, anything like the super nerdy stuff that had gone out there, just like that's not canon. We don't care about any of that. It's going to be completely new. Which like didn't work out with them in the trilogy, the newest trilogy that well because they didn't really have a plan. But like that just shows that if you're listening to people on Reddit really to write your show, it would have been better for it to have been obvious in a
Right.
sense because it would have had some like relieving like it would have given you some payout with for the character development. And I also just feel like a huge problem is that they kind of went away from what made the show special where like nobody's safe. Like way too many characters that you like lived throughout the last half of the show, you know, and that they didn't die. Right? Like the all
Yeah.
time moment will always be the Red Wedding. It just comes out of nowhere for if you haven't read the books, and they're just like, I cannot believe that all these characters that you thought were going to be like an institution on the show are just gone.
Right. Yeah, but that's the thing is like if you take out that moment where it happened, or what, like 4 or 5 people that you really really liked or die, it wasn't like it was like that happened regular. Like Jon Snow and Arya Stark and Peter Dinklage and like all these and Cersei and Jamie, all these guys were so like set up from the beginning, and they made it through the whole way. Like that,
Well, yeah, I mean,
like
the first season ends with Ned dying. The second's
right, but that
like,
needed to happen. Like I just think a lot. I didn't have an issue with the people that survived because those are the people that made money. Those are the people that you got attached to. Like the
yeah,
people
like
that actually
Ooh.
died that were popular characters. Like
You have
I don't know.
Daenerys.
Well,
Daenerys
okay,
dies.
season 8 take out season 8.
Oh, sure.
Jamie and Cersei and all, but like up to that point, I don't know. I didn't have an issue. Like Jon Snow and Arya Stark for sure are 2 people that had to make it all the way through. They were the most intriguing from the beginning, in my opinion. I mean, I'm super biased. Those are by far my favorite 2 characters, and followed by the Hound. Those are my top 3
Sure.
characters on the show. But like, I actually that was one thing about the Hound is I wouldn't have minded him dying after the whole thing with Arya, just because that would have been a good cause. I'm not mad they brought him back from a popularity standpoint and just enjoying more screen time. So maybe that's where we differ. Like, I would have been okay with him dying there at the end of season 6 or whatever.
I don't like it when you kill somebody.
I'm also very happy that I got more screen time of him.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? So
that's where I feel like the problem with the show, like, you get over the fact that they're dead at a certain point. Like, I think Jon Snow should have been dead. Like, especially because the way he died. Like, at least with the Hound, you don't actually see him die.
Right.
But like, it's when it's like, I don't want Tony Stark to come back in Marvel. He's dead.
Right.
You know,
right.
I don't want him to be showing, like, there should be some permanence to death. And with the whole multiverse, like, I feel like it's possible that he comes back, but I hope he dies.
It'd have to be a different character, though. I don't think Robert Downey Jr. is going to play him, so it would just be it'd be a stretch to bring back.
Oh yeah, and if you bring back Tony Stark and it's not Robert Downey Jr., you're gonna get hell.
Right.
But that's the kind of, like, I think that part of the show, like, the interesting part of Game of Thrones is like, it's like there's grief, there's mourning involved, and like, your favorite characters do die, or you're like characters that you feel like are, and that's kind of the theme of the beginning of the show. Like, the evil wins out, like, a lot more. Yeah, and that's reality. That's a lot of what reality, like, has to do with it. Like, the good guy does not win as much, and I feel like that's what they got away from. But
right, and the issue too is where they could have probably saved a lot of this is like when all the White Walkers were invading the North, and like every main character was backed in a corner fighting zombies, and all of them lived. That scene is also, or is like, okay, they, like, I don't mind them keeping people alive from a popularity, but like, it was like literally every single tier 2 character from, like
the northern part of the show.
Right. And like, they've had every single one of them live.
Right.
Like, it would have been very easy to have
I was rooting for
Brienne of Tarth die, or
certainly. Like, those are the characters that you think would die.
Yeah, like they could have died, like, and it would have been fine.
And let me tell you, I would have loved and really dug an ending where everybody dies and the zombies win. Would have dug that. That would have been what a move, and would have been kind of more in the spirit with the show.
The zombies couldn't win, but Cersei could have won. I think that would have. But that would have been cool.
Like, it would have been cool. It would have been way cooler than what we ended up with. It would have
made sense. It would have made sense, more sense than Bram if Cersei would. I think the zombies, you can't do that because then it's like literally like lifeless party one at the end of this huge show. Cersei winning would have been pissed everyone off, but been way more entertaining.
Sure. Yeah, something like that would have been better.
Yeah. So, no, I haven't had to think about that in a while. Some of the names were escaping me at the moment just because there's so many names, and it's been a while since I've watched it.
Yeah, like, I was watching, like, my girlfriend Janelle does not watch like any of it, and I was watching, and she came and sat down, and she was like, kind of like, what's going on? And I was like, and as I was trying to explain it, I was like, literally, you can't watch this show in the middle of it; it will make no sense.
Right. So, no, it's good. I'm glad you brought that up because I may have to. I do have HBO Max, so I may have to start back up again and see all this progression again, especially since I did watch the first 6 seasons so fast. So.
Right.
But. Well, that's going to do it for us this week. We appreciate you guys listening. You can always follow us on our social medias on Twitter. Mine's at 10penny88, like the number in the coin. You can follow Drew at Drew Clifton, and then you can follow our podcast page on Twitter at Flyover Sports BF. Love to talk to you guys, especially you Chiefs fans out there that are getting hyped up for training camp. We are too, and we'd love to. Is there players that we didn't mention that you are interested in? Is there a positional battle that we didn't go over that you're interested in? Let us know. Allowed to get in discussion. We may bring it up on the next podcast. So please, interactions are always fun. It always helps us be better and give you guys what you want. So, all right. We will talk to you next week.